The self-righteous kids screaming at you on television over the weekend aren't helping at all. Erica Thomas is a Georgia State representative and an advocate of gun control, and she joins us tonight. Representative Thomas, thanks for coming on.
Thanks for having me, Tucker.
So what do you think would happen if we tried to confiscate so-called assault weapons from law-abiding Americans? How would people respond?
Well, I think it's about how people will respond. But let's look at what happened back in 1994 when we had a ban on assault rifles. When mass shootings went down by 43%. That is what we want to happen. We want mass shootings to go down, and I think that's the most important point in this matter.
But didn't Columbine take place during the assault weapons ban, and didn't the overall death by gun, the homicide rate with firearms, remain unchanged?
Oh, no. I mean, you're right. You're totally right about the Columbine situation. But you know what? 43% does not account for all. I said 43% went down. And think about
No, but I don't. Just as a factual matter, the Clinton Justice Department was required by the law to study its effects. And so we have a conclusive answer to this question. And the death rate by firearms did not decline over that 10-year period. So statistically, no lives were saved. I mean, that's the conclusion of the DOJ. Doesn't that give you pause?
No, it doesn't give me pause. When I think about in 2004, when Congress lifted that ban and mass shootings went up by over 200%. So those are the numbers. We're talking about the numbers. Those are the numbers. Mass shootings went up. So yeah, you might be right about numbers, but when we talk about numbers, it went up. Those are the numbers.
Yeah, but the murder rate didn't move at all. But what do you think would okay, those are the numbers. What do you think would happen if law enforcement, pushed by Democratic politicians, tried to take the guns from law-abiding Americans? What do you think the effect would be?
Well, you know, I'm not talking about taking guns from law-abiding citizens. I'm talking about a ban on assault rifles. We are not trying to promote a militia. What war are we going at that we need assault rifles? Yes,
okay,
protect the citizens, protect your Second Amendment rights, but not assault rifles.
I mean, I don't want to argue with you, but here's the legislation that you supported in Georgia. The last assault weapons ban Democrats in your state pushed, and I'm quoting from the legislation right here. The Georgia Bureau of Investigations shall seize and take possession of any assault weapon, large capacity magazine, armor piercer bullet, or incendiary 50 caliber bullet. Shall seize and take possession of. That's not voluntary, that's mandatory. So you've got hundreds of thousands of people in your state who own weapons that you say are assault weapons. Are you worried that someone might get killed if law enforcement comes, you've done nothing wrong, and so we're taking your gun away, whether you like it or not? What do you think would happen? I mean, it's worth thinking that through since you're supporting a law that would call for it, don't you think?
You know, what I'm worried about is when the Constitution was made and when the Second Amendment was made, it stated that, of course, the Second Amendment. But let's talk about when it was made. That was when assault rifles, you had to take several minutes to reload an assault rifle. And now it's for several seconds. So let's review that law.
Technology is very different.
No, I
agree.
But let's review that law again.
Okay, but you keep dodging my question, and most people do, but I think it's important because we're getting to a point where actual legislation has been sponsored and will be again, saying that the government needs to take people's weapons by force. And if you really care about preventing deaths, I wonder if you're concerned even a little bit that there might be a violent reaction to that. Is that a crazy thing to suggest?
You know what? It's not a crazy thing, Tucker. You're totally correct. By force is not what we want to do.
That's what the law says. Hold on, that's the law that you supported.
I live in Georgia, and in Georgia we are a red state. I'm not about taking anything by force. I'm not about.
Then why did you support a law that says that the state shall seize and take possession of these guns?
What I support is saving lives. And what saving lives is ban on assault rifles. These kids are out here and they are stating that we need to put a ban on assault rifles.
Okay, I understand. I mean, I think we both agree. We're both against killing, of course. Yeah. I just have real concerns about the effect of the law that you supported, but you don't want to address those. Let me ask you this question then. The overwhelming majority of gun deaths in this country are caused by handguns, not by so-called assault rifles. It's a tiny percentage. So why are we banning the gun that causes a small percentage of killings, but leaving the guns that cause the majority legal? Why does that make
You
sense?
may, and I understand what you're saying. You may say that it's a small percentage, but
Well,
when
it is a
it's
small
your
percentage.
brother or when it's your sister
I'm not
being
minimizing.
assaulted
Okay,
by an assault
right.
rifle, it's not a small percentage.
But what about
Any
the
percentage
brothers
of
and
anyone
sisters
dying
of
by
all
an assault
the
rifle is not a small percentage. And when it comes to your family member being,
slow down. Don't demagogue it with me.
I'm not demagoguing
I'm not in
it. I'm
any
stating the
way
facts.
downplaying the
I'm
significance
stating
of
the
anyone.
facts.
No, hold on. I'm not downplaying the significance of anyone's death. Of course, I'm as concerned as you are. I'm just wondering why, since assault rifles, relatively speaking, cause few deaths, handguns cause the overwhelming majority of deaths. Why are you not calling for banning handguns and seizing and taking possession of handguns? I don't know why, if you care so much about gun violence.
But I would ask you the same question. Would you call for a ban on handguns? No, you wouldn't. So that's not the question
Because
at hand.
guns
The question
don't
at hand
cause
is a ban on assault
killings.
rifles.
People have a gun as a tool. Fewer American households have guns than they did 40 years ago, and yet the incidence of mass shootings is
So why can we not
rising.
put a ban on assault rifles? That's the question. Why not?
Well, because you have over 100 million semi-automatic weapons in the United States right now. What do you do with those? Do you,
know
go
what?
to people's
You
homes and
give
take them? That's
to
a
the
real
military.
question.
If people want to have assault rifles, join the military. Defend
But what if
your
they don't
country
want to give
by
up their
joining
guns?
the military.
Look,
That is why
I'm
we
not
need
a
assault
child,
rifles
okay? I'm
to
an adult.
defend our
So,
country, not to
look,
shoot
okay.
our kids in America. That is what is happening.
Okay.
That is what happened
I
at
give up.
Parkland.
I'm
That
trying
is
to
why
ask
we
you
spoke
adult
up.
questions.
You can give
You don't
up.
want to
You
answer
can
them.
give up if you want.
Right. Okay. Well, media coverage of the weekend's anti-gun marches was a lot like what you just saw. It was overwhelming. It was deeply one-sided. You think the Second Amendment still applies to Americans? Well, then you're